And we're live. Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and this is Movie Crap Alive. Thank you very much for being here on another Saturday night. Can I hear myself? And we're live. Oh. Hey, what's up? It's Jim. Listen to that guy. Fucking jerk. Alright. Talking about myself. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. We're a little early. William Ellman's here. Nutso Studios, not new. I haven't seen you before. A minute early, that's right. Ryan Walterson, Austin, Will, Bruce Parker, Ace the Wind Rider, a guy named Crystal, Bruce Parker again, Cornbread. How's everybody doing in the live chat? Nathaniel Foga, I think I got you. Yes. Let me move my phone real quick. Hold on. I'm still here. I'm in the room. I just didn't want it to buzz on. Okay. Sorry, someone responded. Oh, hey! Okay. Whoa, a super chat. I gotta turn... Blacksy Oxenwinkle, that was fast. Hold on. Hey! It's Saturday night. Super chat already. Blacksy Oxenwinkle said, okay, Jim, when's the review of Artemis Fowl? And I have sugar-free all the way tonight. I'm going to watch it tomorrow night. But I, basically... anyway, let me... Cheers to you, Blacksy Oxenwinkle. It's going to happen next week, but, if it is a movie that comes out on a Friday, it's sort of hard for me. But what if Tom Cruise calls again? That's a good point. I'll do. Anyway, cheers to you, Zane Powers. If it's a movie that comes out on a Friday, and it's not one I can watch with my daughter, that means I can't even think about watching it till 8 o'clock, which means just all the shooting and the logistics of it means it just gets put out later. So that's actually why things like that happen. That's exactly why. So if you're ever wondering, like, how come this thing came out on Netflix on Friday and Jim's not reviewing it, unless, like, my wife and daughter are away on a trip, it's not going to happen until the next week. So, but it is happening. It is, as well as the Five Bloods, which I'm very excited for also. So anyway, that's the reason. Everyone's hoping Tom Cruise, like he calls in every episode. You know, if you know Tom Cruise, you know, and get him to call, that would be cool. But, hey, Speedrunner 182, that's a cool name. I'm glad you're here for your first time. I don't think she'd love Artemis Fowl. Scoob worked out because Scoob, she wanted to see. She likes Scoob. Anyway. Oh, Kit, I'm sorry you forgot your headphones. That's funny. That's a good reason. Before I get to it, let's see. Announcement-y things. First off, let me make sure I see where... this shirt, Video Music Box. I literally got this today. Video Music Box is a huge influence on me and my love of hip-hop. This guy, Ralph McDaniels, started the first... rap video show ever in 1983. It's basically Yo MTV Raps sort of ripped it off, basically. I don't know if he would say that, but that's a lot of people feel that way. But it was literally the first hip-hop rap music video show. It is still going today. It's as old as me. It's I've heard they call it the longest running music video show ever, and I think that might be true. You know, Top of the Pops gone. Everything's gone. Video Music Box stands. It's a local New York show. I fucking love Video Music Box, and I tweeted last week a really nice thing about Ralph McDaniels, who still runs the show all this time, and Video Music Box, and he retweeted it, and I went, you know what, fuck it, I am definitely going to be buying this shirt. I've always said I'm going to buy a shirt, and so you're going to see this a lot more. And I also, another thing I did last week is everyone was talking about supporting black businesses and black creators and stuff, and I kind of came to this crossroads where I was like, I don't want to just pick people I've never seen their stuff, or I don't know them. Why don't I pick people who've influenced my life in some way, to show kind of the real influence of the black community, rather than just, you know, not that I'm calling anyone out, that's just, I wanted to do it that way, and Video Music Box was very much that. So I was like, I'm going to buy this shirt, I'm going to support him on Twitter, and if I wear this shirt, I can spread the word about it. And I've been talking to more and more people about Video Music Box, as well as other creators and things like that. So that was also then. I have gym shirts. They're in the thing, man. Ace the Wind Rider. There are gym shirts. You can buy them today. Go to my channel page. They're there. I don't know if they're in the description. Anyway, it's still there. I need to do the face mask thing. It's been a bit. I need to check on that, actually, now that I think about it. I set it up a while ago. I haven't looked at it. But it's there if you want. Anyway, let's get into... Oh, also, I showed Sophie a movie this week. It was Mr. Bug Goes to Town. She didn't make it. It didn't work out, so bad call on my part. Anyway, Mr. Bug Goes to Town. Yeah, Jim, have you been filming me? What? Anyway, yeah, Mr. Bug Goes to Town didn't really work out, but she enjoyed her ice cream none the same. And then we actually watched all the Looney Tunes on YouTube, the newer ones, and she liked those. So, you know, success in some way, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it's just, well, it's not my face. It's the logo that's at the beginning of this. That's all it is. But you can get it in black and white and color. I have watched, someone asked about the Scooby-Doo. I should do the face mask thing. I need to do that Black Saxon. I've shown her the newer, what's next Scooby? What's the 2000s one that was on Netflix? She watched that. I talked about it before, but it's been a few weeks actually. She usually likes, I don't know. Mr. Bug didn't work. Anyway, before we get to where's my thing? My list of stuff. This mythical Google Doc of a list. Before we get into it, first, this show and pretty much everything I do is entirely supported by you, the fans, either through Patreon, where I have exclusive videos, including every episode of my public access show, Movie Stuff, and over 100 exclusive videos that you have access to if you're part of my Patreon. For $1 and up, you can have access to that, and it's really cool. And I do a new exclusive video at least once a week, as well as you can then do my oh, thank you, Ryan Walterson. That's very nice of you for posting the. Ryan's a good dude, as he always is. Okay, sorry. You can also support the show by giving me with super chats during the show. Any contribution is very much appreciated if you're financially able to do so. And thank you very much. All this content is made possible by viewers like you. Okay, as well as check out the Discord. The Discord is really great. It's run by Austin and Zane, do an amazing job on it. As well as there's a new channel on there called Suggestions for Jim. It's mainly suggestions for for me to review during Movie Crap Live, but you can put other suggestions. I'm going to put a pinned message about that, but if you suggest something, I usually do actually consider it and get to it. Tonight's review is Heat, Vision, and Jack, which was a suggestion by Austin, actually, which was a great suggestion. So if you want to go to that, do that. There's also the Ask Jim channel. You can ask me things, and I will hopefully get around to answering them. I think there's a bunch of questions I need to answer, which I hope to do tonight. And if you join the Discord in the next week, I think this week as well, and send me a message after you do so with your address, I will send you some Jim stickers. Anyway, appreciate you. Thank you, Monsters Review. I appreciate you too. I'm glad you're here, by the way. Cheers to you, sir. Okay. So, before I get into the news proper, I don't really do someone said a thing, some celebrity or notable person. I sort of just do movie news, animation news. That's what I do. Hello, Mortal Kombat fan. PS2, Mortal Kombat PS2 fan. I don't really talk about that. But unless it has some like industry ramifications that go beyond that. Sometimes if a director says something, that's going to be a project. In terms of like, I didn't really want to talk about J.K. Rowling or Butch Hartman this week, and I don't really intend to sort of make this show into sort of stuff like that, but fuck both of them, and if they want to think that bigotry ass shit, they can get the fuck out of here. Anyway, moving on. So, today, sorry. Maybe I should have said fuck both of them. I mean, that was that harsh? Probably. Sorry. It just pissed me off all fucking week. Alright, totally. Okay. Anyway, so today, Nickelodeon, today Nickelodeon tweeted, a tweet in terms of Gay Pride, showing 3 characters, someone I'm not really familiar with what show they are from, and Cora, and then SpongeBob. And apparently the other 2, their sexuality was known to people and stuff. SpongeBob, SpongeBob, it was not. Although SpongeBob, it was not. He is not openly gay. Nathaniel Folga has a super chat. Hey Jim, have you sent out the stickers yet? I send them out probably at the end of like when I do a monthly kind of mailing, but they will be sent out for Nathaniel Folga. But thank you very much. Oh, Nathaniel Folga, I actually opened the Monster Trucks thing finally. Sophie was playing with the Monster Truck, and this is Creech right here, or a monster. Anyway, I need to show that to you next week, but it's in her room. She was playing with it from there. And Zane Powers, who sucked the most this week. The winner was America. It was between J.K. Rowling, America, and Butch Hartman. Butch Hartman came in third. J.K. Rowling second, and America won by a lot. So cheers to you, Zane Powers. Yeah, that was my poll on Twitter. Sorry, that was a little too saucy. Cheers to you. So today on Twitter, yes, Nickelodeon posted a tweet with those three characters. As Ryan has said, the other guy is Harvey Danger, is from Harvey Danger, who's a transgender actor, and Cora, and SpongeBob. And SpongeBob was the bigger one, the more featured picture, and had gay pride colors and everything, and people were saying, well, is SpongeBob gay or something like that? And then people were saying Stephen Hillenburg had previously said, when this had come up before, that SpongeBob was actually asexual. People are saying asexual is part of LGBTQ plus and all those things. Here's the thing. I really don't think Nickelodeon, although they didn't let people reply, basically people were retweeting it and then replying to that retweet, or that's what I heard at least. I think they literally went, oh man, we don't really have a lot of gay characters on this channel, so maybe we should just put the biggest thing, or the thing was pretty much all we play, on here. And they did, and didn't really give that much thought to it. And then the cartoon community made it into this whole thing and go, oh, well, Stephen Hillenburg said this. And it's like, I mean, I respect that if SpongeBob is asexual and everything like that. I'm not sure. But I think it was ultimately just a corporation going we need to do a gay pride tweet. And who, if we just do these two, no one's going to give a shit or laugh at us, because one is from a cartoon show that we haven't aired in a really long time, and the other is not, a lead character, so and not a kid. So I think because it's like a kids network apparently, and I just think that would have been a better idea, basically. I just think that was why they did it, because it was a better idea to market the biggest person in the network on there. I don't think it really actually is anything more than that. I think just because SpongeBob is gay started trending, and then people reacted to that, and then it became this whole thing. And in a way, that's what they wanted, because we're all talking about them. Because Nickelodeon's been really good at making us, making us talk about them. They've been doing kind of things where it's I noticed the last week I did this show, we were talking about the George Floyd 8 minutes 46 seconds thing they did. Now they did this tweet. They're very good at pushing that they were very progressive, making it very public, and getting us all to talk about them. I find this to be, that was very commendable. This was a little more corporate synergistic, basically. And I don't think that's, I sort of look at it more cynically than I think most people do, because I just think they were we need to do this, and we need to make more of a statement with it, and we come out really lame, it's going to be a joke. And they sort of used us all to their social media marketing advantage, basically. That's what I think. Honestly, they did, but whatever. Lincoln does, that's true. They did also do a Pride Month, but nobody... Ryan, that's true, but they didn't. I don't think they cared as much about that. Anyway, people. Nathaniel always asks me about Creech's sexuality. I don't know what Creech's sexuality would be. That's interesting. I don't know. Anyway, I just, I just don't look at the SpongeBob thing as much as I just think Nickelodeon has become very good at making these big public statements and making people discuss them, and I think last week they did a really smart one. I think this week it was more about, we know how to do this at this point. We've marketed, we're going to have SpongeBob say gay pride. They didn't actually say he was gay or anything like that. Just everyone read into it. I sort of feel like they knew what they were doing, but whatever. I think, I think Creech Creech and those creatures, their sexuality isn't like ours. I don't think they are kind of as they don't even have labels. It like doesn't that they're Creech sexual, I would say. You know, is this Creech or is this what is this anyway? This guy, by the way, someone on Twitter mentioned because he was in the Promare review, and I just thought, oh, I never used this guy. I might as well use him. And then someone like zoomed into him, like, what is that? It's interesting. Anyway, let's put Creech up here. I feel stupid. Oh, fun fact! According to Mighty Morphing Power Rangers lore, the original Green Ranger Tommy Oliver's favorite food is cornflakes. That's boring. Really though? I would think it'd be like burritos or something. That was a good fun fact, but it's just very boring. I feel like they would have written a better one. Sorry. But anyway, I like when Nijikichu shows up. Cheers to you. Thank you for being here. So, We Bare Bears. I got 2 stories for you this time. So, We Bare Bears, the movie, was supposed to come out. It had been delayed because of everything that was going on with George Floyd and all the Black Lives Matter protests and everything like that. And then it originally was going to come out on a Monday, which was not a good day to release things. But then Amazon forgot to not have it go public, and then it did go public. Apparently, it was like rent to own, basically. You could just buy it. I don't know if you could rent it necessarily, but it did go public. This has happened before with Amazon. A couple of times when films have gotten delayed or their release has gotten delayed and they don't change it. I don't know if it's an Amazon problem. The studios need to be emailing the right person. Since it's happened at separate studios, I would actually say it's probably an Amazon problem, but I don't know. No one seems to take the blame for these things. But it did go out early. It was kind of a big embarrassment for Cartoon Network because it went out early legally and it was there for a while. I don't know. Did they ever take it down? I just think it was pretty exceptionally boring that they did it that way. Like, you would think that they would want to I don't know. You would think that they would get their shit together. I think they need to stop. They need to be run better because they're kind of one of the bigger on-demand places in the country or in the world right now, and it's like they can't get their stuff together to do that is pathetic. So, but if you wanted to see the We Bare Bears movie early, you could. I chose to wait because I was sort of working on other videos and I already planned against it happening, and you know, I will get to it when you're legally supposed to have it. It's also hard anyway. But I'm going to watch it later. But then I guess what got revealed at the same maybe a day later is that David Chong, who is the creator of We Bare Bears and I guess the showrunner, has said that the movie is the series finale and that he's leaving the show to focus more on storyboarding, do his basically like storyboarding collective and teach people storyboards and everything like that. And I think that's cool. It does bring it out. There hasn't really been an answer, and I couldn't find one. There hasn't really been enough coverage about the movie being the series finale. I think that might be because, there's a lot going on, and I think that it kind of complicates the matters because, in terms of covering it, because there's so much going on, you don't want to overcover, you don't want to look insensitive, and everyone probably already covered the movie coming out early, and then having it be about the We Bare Bears ending. Maybe they didn't want to go with it. I don't know. I just noticed a lack of coverage on that. But it is interesting that was the series finale. It's also interesting that we have this spin-off with the Little Bears. Is that still happening? And it felt like Warner's was sort of more into We Bare Bears continuing and being the big hit that it has become. And it's really a cross-generational thing. Sophie and I actually watched it tonight. She was like, I want to watch Bears with Dad, and we did. And I'm excited to watch the movie with her, actually. And I like watching that show. And it is I actually think it's a good multi-generational show. And I don't think... I sort of almost feel like it was really kind of coming to a peak at a certain point because it's on Hulu and Netflix. Streaming-wise, it's like everywhere. I know a lot of people who like watch it with their whole families. I thought it would have been cool. But, I guess they didn't want to continue doing that sort of thing. It's like, all right, fine. But I'm a little disappointed because I felt like it was a show that could just go on for a long time, but he chose not to, and they're going to do the spinoff. I'm curious if Cartoon Network's going to try to bring it back more, but I know they're creator first, so I'm assuming they're not going to do that. But I really like the show. I'm sad to see it go. Frankly, it is what's really good about that show is I think you can, in terms of everybody having continuity and all this stuff, in this one, you can just like pick up an episode, watch it, and leave, or watch 5 episodes and not pick it up for a while. And it's like, it was very digestible in that way, and I really, really liked it. Izzy's here. Hey, Izzy. All right, but yes, so We Bare Bears is apparently over, and Daniel Chong will continue like helping people, teach people storyboards and stuff, which is interesting. You would think after being embraced by the network so much, he would create another show, but you know what? Maybe he will later. Maybe he just needs a break. I don't know, but it was nice to have We Bare Bears while we had it. All right, let's do a quick story, and then I'll get to the Looney Tunes stuff. Unsolved Mysteries, apparently the reboot is going to be on Netflix on July 1st. I am a huge Unsolved Mysteries fan. I love Quentin reviews, but I didn't love how a lot of people have covered it and just go to the ridiculous things, because I think as many times they did really funny, stupid alien abduction things, they did a lot of them that are completely ridiculous, and they're completely ridiculous, but they upped the ambiance and made it spooky and everything like that, and you kind of like, would get scared, and I kind of like wanted them to focus more on that, but he chose not to. Can we get We Bare Bears future? Nice, Waxy Accent Wrinkle. Cheers to you. I love it. That's what I would. If I don't know if I'd want them to age, but I'm sure they would get it to work. But they should. Anyway, cheers to you. More 2 Nas, 1 Yas. There we go. But anyway, I like the original Unsolved Mysteries. I know it's stupid. I know it sometimes did more harm than good. Quentin Reviews just made that video with you in it, is he? That was a really long video. I think he can take a little bit of a break, but he should have another one. Hey, I'll just had a meeting with Corey Coleman. What? I don't understand that. Is that a thing I should get? I think it is. Anyway, cheers to you, Austin. And then, oh my god. And then, Austin runs the double toasted disc. Okay, I think I'm stupid. I'm sorry. I should have known who that was. I do know who that is. And now everyone's going to make fun of me. Anyway, Male Tier says, We Bare Bears to return. Cheers to you. Alright. Yeah. Okay, no, I know. Right after I said it, I knew what I did. Maybe I should get double toasted merch. That would be cool. At some point. All right, anyway, but the new Unsolved Mysteries is coming out on July 1st, is going to be produced by the people in Stranger Things. The main difference between this and the original is the original would have 3 segments of, 3 different stories. This is just, each episode is going to specifically feature an Unsolved Mystery. So unlike that show, if you go, this one sucks, I'll just wait till the next one. If it sucks, you're stuck with it. So I will probably be doing a review on that. Yes, Unsolved Mystery sound is very nostalgic for me too, Izzy. The music still scares me. That theme song is amazing. If you go to YouTube has every episode legally. The people who own the distribution rights actually put it on YouTube, Filmrise, so you can watch every episode, and the Robert Stack ones, not the repurposed ones that Dennis Farina did, which I don't like those. Anyway, Austin, something review blank check. At some point, you got Heat Vision and Jack. Let's not get too crazy tonight. Anyway, cheers to you. So Looney Tunes. This was the big news. It happened literally. I think I might have missed it on last week. Did it come out last week or did it happen? Oh no, it came out on Sunday. But I guess I sort of maybe missed it right before. But it turns out that the new Looney Tunes cartoons that are on I don't know. I think because I made fun of you should watch Unsolved Mysteries. It's really cool. The first couple seasons when they shot it on film are great. When they shot it on video, it decreases in quality. That's my opinion. First couple seasons are great, but yeah, they're all on YouTube. I've gotten addicted to it. Yeah. Anyway, so the new HBO Max Looney Tunes cartoons, both Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam do not have guns. This was confirmed in an interview by Pete Braungart. I think that's how you say his name. I don't know. But he confirmed that is not in there. My thing with this, and I posted on Twitter also, which I guess is sort of a repeat. So follow me on Twitter if you love this show, because then you can hear me say the same bullshit. But basically it's like, okay, I saw a lot of people get really upset. Some people, conservatives, get upset that, like, how could you take their guns away and stuff. I think the problem with Looney Tunes, there's a lot of people who buy the merch and, like, talk about them and things that get a tattoo, but don't, like, watch the cartoons that much. And I think this is, like, where the nexus of, like, that is a bunch of stupid nonsense right there, because these have been public and for everyone to watch for about a week now. And the fact that, one, nobody noticed, so clearly not the biggest deal. And second, that he had to point it out is the other thing. I think I did notice when they did Yosemite Sam, they made some conservative joke with Yosemite Sam in the roller coaster. What is it? The one where they're amusement pest short. So I knew they were kind of like playing with the iconography and stuff like that. I think that's fine with me. I know that Elmer Fudd wasn't always a hunter and things of that nature, but I just think, the cartoons are really good. I've heard of other kids getting into them. HBO Max is kind of a disaster in itself, which we'll sort of get to later in a bunch of different stories in this. HBO Max is making a lot of headlines despite being tremendously unsuccessful, but that's a whole other thing. But the Looney Tunes shorts are probably the best thing they have on it, and I support them not having guns because as I've said with the Paw Patrol thing, which we'll get to actually right after this, is that I do think it's important if you're going to show kids media and like the messages that can show to them, and was it no liberals? That's funny. I forgot. That's funny though. But if you're going to show them stuff, a lot of parents don't want to show their kids funny things with guns, and I think that's probably a good thing, to be honest with you. You just want to laugh. You don't want to be, like if you're watching it and you're someone is shot by that kind of gun, you're not going to be laughing at Looney Tunes anymore. And I think they understand that trauma. Hold on. Okay, before we move on to police and media, I guess, it's kind of a bunch of things. Bloxy Oxenwinkle said they should replace the guns with walkie-talkies. That is hilarious. You know what's funny about that? Before I get to the next super chat, I will say the funny thing about that, if you see E.T. outside, they almost, like on an outdoor kind of screening thing, they almost always play the doctored cut. They don't play the one with guns. They play the one without guns, which I disagree with, even though I just said all that bullshit about guns. But E.T., I think that shot works with guns because it makes guns scary. Don't you want kids to be scared of guns? I do. I don't want kids to be comfortable with guns, and that's what that shot does. So Spielberg should have grown the fuck up. But anyway, cheers to you, Bloxy Oxenwinkle. Because he changed it in a special edition. Look it up. I'm not explaining Spielberg's nonsense. Jim's, my parents were complaining about Paw Patrol being censored, and I had to explain that Jim says cop dogs are bad. Okay, Jim, what is your favorite side character in Aqua Teen Hunger Force? The robot ghost is really good. I actually still like the Boost mobile phone episode is hilarious. I really have always loved that episode. What's your name? Ural, not Diego, not Delgo. Cherries, I think? Anyway, that is a great name. Cheers to you. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I would say the Boost Mobile. Or the Moonanites don't count. Yeah, I would say Boost Mobile. I love that episode. And then Frylock goes like, "You're black, aren't you?" Still funny. It's like, I love that episode. And it's like a particular dumb episode, but every time I watch that, I laugh. I love the Boost Mobile episode. I could quote it. I watched it way too many times, and even people I knew were like, "This is not that funny." I go, "I know, but I just really like it." All right. So, a bunch of shows that involve cops, people aren't as okay with anymore because, they sort of realize cops beat people, even though they have been this whole time, and I don't know what took everyone so long, but whatever. Let's do Paw Patrol first. So, Paw Patrol, everyone wants the one police dog, because, here's the thing with Paw Patrol, they're all like different, fire dogs, all these other dogs that are things, ambulance dogs. There's a lawyer dog. I don't know. Oh, MCP Pants is a good choice. Fuck. Damn it, Austin. Sometimes I read my comments and my reviews. I'm like, why didn't I come up with that? And then I'm like, feel really down on myself. I'm like, oh man, and that was really good. I wish I had thought of that. They should make the review now. Anyway, but they want the cop dog to be retired or not to be the leader. All these things. I mean, I've previously said how I feel about Paw Patrol. I don't think necessarily that. I mean, what's funny is like I cut this. This was in the show, but I cut it out of when I made the segment because I was like, maybe that was too extreme. But I did watch my friends get beat up by the cops when I was a kid, and it did when I was a teenager. And I don't really feel comfortable showing my show, my kids, my kid. I don't. Anyway, I don't know when I say kids. My kid a show about cops in a positive light because I've pretty much always been afraid of them. So I just don't feel comfortable showing her things that make her more comfortable with them. And I have actually gone on rants before where I say, like, I worry that kids who grow up with Paw Patrol will suddenly disagree. I think I've said it on here before, disagree with their parents' distrust for the police. And I think it's growing something that's not really very healthy. And I think it is propaganda, and it's propaganda more so than the other two shows I'm about to talk about, Cops and Live PD, because this is for people who are just, forming their brains and forming their understanding and what's right and wrong, and that is more insidious than Cops ever is. Although Cops and Live PD have actually killed people, so that's, maybe I'm actually wrong about that, but it's like a different kind of insidious, so like, actually come to think of it, I should know. Anyway, but it's just like I don't agree with those shows. I know people say, oh, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's not fine. It's not fine. I would much rather like She-Ra good, Paw Patrol bad. Let's do that. I'd much rather watch Lesbian Ice Princess movie a million times. I mean, she's gonna anyway, than watch like a puppy dog cop show. Like, fuck that. Just no. I'm cursing a lot, but it's just like we have a responsibility, and Black Lives Matter, but it's also that like cops do fucked up shit, and letting children believe that I'm gonna stop this. I'm sorry. I just don't agree with that. SVU is different. Ace One Writer asked me about SVU. SVU I feel is a little different because I don't really think people do sexual crimes. I don't like, that's kind of like not like, I'm okay with those people getting prosecuted. Anyway, I feel like everyone's always like, you don't get too political. Y'all heard him, lesbians good, cops bad. That'd be a good bumper sticker, but I feel like I'm gonna stop. All right. What about the TSA show? I don't know that show. Anyway, so Cops, the show that has been around, basically invented reality TV. I mean, not entirely. There are other shows that really did it, and I'm not going into the history of that, but it was highly influential on reality TV spread, starting with Fox at the beginning of its run, right with The Simpsons. It's interesting how many, both Cops and The Simpsons, and like all these Fox shows are so long-lasting, and what it says about the history of America, of like our modern century, that everyone used to dunk on Fox, but like every one of their some of their launch shows have become such a staple and such a part of the fabric of American culture. It's like, maybe that's why America's falling apart, because Fox is horrible. But although The Simpsons is great. Anyway, sorry. So Cops was canceled by the Paramount Network. Cops actually has a lost season now because the season was completely completed. I'm sure they even have more footage they haven't cut up yet, but apparently several episodes, in fact, almost an entire season of Cops is now lost. I know that there's some places that are still playing reruns of Cops, and Pluto TV still has a Cops channel. But I think it's interesting when the show went off, because I think most people are like, fuck that show. I kind of like, I have an interesting thing with that show, because at first I was like, oh, it's sort of interesting how they use the camera and stuff like that, and but then I'm like, it's very much propaganda. It's obvious it's propaganda. But I think it has, there's a great podcast called Running with Cops I really recommend, that you should check out if you hate the show or love the show at any point. But I remember watching it with people, and we basically have this debate over whether, like, there are moments that are genuinely funny, not in a disgusting, disturbing way. But it's an interesting. I think it's an interesting part of the TV history of television, and something we should talk about a lot more. I didn't like how it was so disregarded. There probably should have been a lot more think pieces. But the podcast Running with Cops, which came out late last year, I think, that's really good. I would check out. I would recommend that. But the other thing was the show Live PD, which is a kind of the next generation of Cops, which is it would be basically a live show, and they go to live cops, like live broadcasts. They'd say, although a lot of it was taped, it was just like not cut, I guess. I never watched it, but it was like one of the biggest shows. It was canceled, and they actually filmed someone dying in custody, and then they deleted the footage. So Live PD is actually the worst of all these, and sounds horrible, and there's more about that. But anyway, I like that Izzy's in the chat. I like this. I like that everyone's being nice too, at least from what I can see. Anyway, yeah, a lot of people, by the way, I saw with Cops was like the best thing about Cops was Reno 911. Yes, that is 100% true. Check out, if you can sign up for Quibi, check out that and watch it on there. But yes, but Black Lives Matter, Trans Lives Matter, sex workers' lives matter. Maybe, I don't know. This week has just been so fucked, and I'm just upset that I have to explain to people that, other people matter just in general. It's just like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Anyway, but Izzy is right, basically, is what I wanted to say. Izzy's right. Izzy's amazing as well. Alright, so before I get into every movie release date has been fucked up. I just saw the Sonic thing. So, I know we're talking a lot about, movies getting delayed and streaming dates and all this stuff, but this one film, called, The Wretched, that has been playing in drive-ins, and it's actually been making #1 at the box office. Not that that means anything right now, but it has been. It has made over $1 million at drive-ins. It's been very successful at it. I kind of want to see The Wretched now because it's become such a big thing, over the whole COVID movie-going experience, but I think we'll see about that. But I think it'll be, I don't know, but it's sort of interesting about The Wretched that's actually been doing pretty good. I think that's cool. So anyway, kind of a movie that's like been able to be something during this time in theaters, even though it's drive-ins and a few non-drive-ins actually. Because there's nothing out, so theaters need content. I know some indie theaters have still open despite the more corporate chains choosing not to. There's, depending on your area, how you feel about that. All right, so next up, Tenet got pushed back. Everyone said it wouldn't happen. Everyone, like me, thought it was kind of a thing that should happen. And then Warner's moved their entire, most of their slate to different dates, and we're going to go into all of that. But Tenet was pushed back only 2 weeks from July 17th, which was the date it refuses to move on until Friday, to July 31st. In its place on the July 17th date, which they're going to put out a 10th anniversary of Inception with exclusive clips of Tenet, which is what they first said, and then they went, but also other Warner Brothers movies that are coming out, including Dune, which Dune did not move in any of the release things that I saw, but they kept amending this, so I'm not, if Dune did get pushed, please say something to me, because that would be nice to know. But this because Wonder Woman was since Inception, because Tenet was pushed back to July 31st. Wonder Woman was moved to October 2nd. Fun fact: but who will save capitalism now? Actually, Zane Powers, thank you for bringing that up. Who will save capitalism? Cheers to you. It would actually be the remake of Mulan. Would be the first major film coming out. Cheers to you again. Is that comes out, I believe, the 24th. That date is still happening. Mulan right now is the film that is supposed to save theaters. Everyone thinks Mulan will move, as well as the SpongeBob movie, and people are predicting that SpongeBob will go on demand. I would not really be surprised at this point. However, here's an interesting thing. Has anyone heard what happened with Scoob? We have heard no numbers on that, and that is incredibly interesting. Now, I know they sold those rights overseas to Netflix, but Trolls, they were very much like, look at all the money we're making, things are going great, this is wonderful. Scoob was like dead fucking silence, which means to me it didn't do well, because studios love bragging about shit. It's just like, no one has heard anything about the performance of Scoob. It's not good. It's not good. But Wonder Woman, SpongeBob did move? Did it? Did it? I'm going to look this up now. I did not hear this. Did that happen? We still don't know the budget of Scoob. That's probably true too. Well, we don't know anything. Sponge on the Run. Let's find out. I did not hear about this. News. I don't see anything on that. Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, it's gonna probably go to VOD. Anyway, I don't see anything on that one. But anyway, the other moves. Matrix 4 is moving back an entire year. It was supposed to come out next summer. It's now going to come out on April 1st, 2022. It was pushed back almost an entire year. That's pretty big. The Robert Zemeckis film The Witches, based on the Roald Dahl story, is now officially off the calendar. There is no release date for that. Tom and Jerry was moved. Is not going to come out this Christmas. It is now going to come out on March 5th, 2021. And for some reason I didn't do King Kong, but that's going to come out in March and not November anymore. The other thing is Get Back, the Beatles documentary. These are Disney ones. Has moved an entire year to August 21st, 2021. And then the one and only Ivan, which was kind of a Fox, one of the last Fox animated things that Disney didn't know what to do with. It kept bumping around the schedule. It is going to go on Disney Plus on August 21st. So those are the big release date changes. I've heard a lot of people make rumors about release date changes, but unless it's confirmed, like Promising Young Woman. It's like I keep people telling me, oh, it's on demand next week. And like, unless it's a confirmed source, I'm not going to say that. The Tom and Jerry thing is the live action one. But sorry, Toon J, I don't mean to call you out or anything. But I like to have a confirmed source because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And My Spy, the film that was going to be the last movie standing but didn't then get bought by Amazon, is going to be on Amazon Prime on June 25th. All right, so it was never... I thought it was distributed from Fox. Wasn't the one and only Ivan a Fox distribution thing? I think it was. And I thought it was. I'm like pretty... I thought... Was it like a weird... Because it's not like Disney made it. Right? Oh, anyway. You can get ice cream, watch a movie with Soph yesterday. Oh, did you get... Oh, did I watch... Yes, I did. We watched Mr. Bug Goes to Town and she didn't like it. But we did do that. I thought I said that. Anyway, cheers to you, Austin. I'm sorry if you missed that. It's so weird it's from Disney because it's like not a... Oh, fuck. What do I know? Okay. I thought it was a... I thought I heard that. But then why is it... Anyway. Okay. Anyway. Ryan was right, as usual. Oh, that's true. My Spy did come out in Canada. That's also true. Now, before I get into the Gone with the Wind thing, which is obviously a thing, let's talk about some Bill and Ted, and then we'll go into that. Bill and Ted in all of this, Bill and Ted was moved up a week to August 14th when everything moved, which I think is optimistic for them. A lot of people were telling me this would be a very good Netflix film. I think it really would. I think it would do actually really well on Netflix. But the trailer and the poster came out this week. I actually really like the trailer. I'm a big Bill and Ted fan. I have both the movies somewhere on DVD. And it looks really promising. It sort of makes me feel like this should have come out in like 2009 when like the direct-to-video... kind of cult movie thing where people would make studios would make cult movies because then they would do well on DVD, and this feels like kind of akin to that, but it sort of feels like they have creative freedom with it. It does a little bit feel like maybe they're a little too old, which some people said, but it looked fun. Like, I'm so ready for it. I love Bill and Ted. I grew up with them. I'm happy Keanu's in and Alex Winter and all that stuff. We don't know a ton. We get to see their daughters for a quick second, things like that, but we don't know too much more than that. So I'm sort of like, to me, it's just like, like a fun teaser that got me just as excited, and I'm like definitely there. Oh, I'm not probably going to go to a theater at this point, but when it gets on, whatever streaming service or whenever it comes out, I'm excited to see it. But that's, the poster was kind of just like, we get the, telephone box, all that sort of stuff. It looks like a cool movie to me. It looks like a worthy entry. I don't think it'll be better than Excellent Adventure or Bogus Journey, but hey, I'm ready to face the music with that. And Death was there, as he's right. Death was there. It was cool seeing Death again. So, I'll do this. Okay, so first off, Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead, is going to be in a select drive-ins this weekend and apparently other times. So if you've ever wanted to see the first Evil Dead, it's going to be in certain drive-ins. And I heard Evil Dead 2 as well. And then they're apparently going to be developing an Evil Dead 4, which wouldn't that be Evil Dead 5? Whatever. Everyone keeps saying Evil Dead 4, but now I'm like, that wouldn't be... Or would it be Evil Dead 4? Anyway, it's supposed to be its own thing. It's from director Lee Cronin is involved. It'll be called Evil Dead Next is the trailer, the title I've also heard, but they're developing another Evil Dead pretty dramatically. It sounds like they are going to do it, but it'll be its own thing. It will not be a part of the remake universe, which they seem to entirely drop, or Ash vs. the Evil Dead, or the Evil Dead thing. It'll be its own thing. So, yeah, that'll be cool. I hope. They're always trying to develop Evil Dead stuff. To me, it's like, I'm interested in a new way to do it. To be honest, the remake I didn't mind. I thought it was a cool way to do it, like in a different, kind of a different avenue, basically. But as well as Ash vs. the Evil Dead, I sort of like that take. So I don't mind if they do it differently each time. It seems like Sam Raimi's really interested in that. And yes, Nathaniel Fogo, I do mean Evil Deer. I noticed how quickly people noticed that I said Evil Deer in the second tweet about stories we're talking about. So, let's get into... I'll do Happy Death Day then. So apparently, Jason Blum, who runs Blumhouse, is saying there was still the possibility of doing Happy Death Day 3. I'm kind of happy with them ending with Happy Death Day 2. Oh, hold on. Niju Kiju, fun fact. Willem Dafoe has a stunt double when he does naked scenes, not because he is embarrassed, but because the crew gets distracted by the size of his Dafoe. You know what? I believe that, because if anyone has a big Dafoe, it'd be him. He's got that energy. I love Willem Dafoe. I will see anything for Willem Dafoe. I even see Boondock Saints. Man, I need to rip that one at some point. More like his goblet. Man, the chat's having fun with this. Cheers to you, Niji Kichu. Every time Niji Kichu throws a fun fact out, it just... I did see Ryan's there. We've killed a Red Bull. I did see Ryan's there. Ryan said, it's hard to get names correct, right, Joe Gisriel? That is actually my brother's name. But cheers to you, Ryan. I'm not good at anyone's names, ever. Other name that starts with R, Walterson. I screwed that up. Anyway, cheers to you. So, in less fun news... I guess. Gone with the Wind. What happened this week? So at first, John Ridley, who's the screenwriter of 12 Years a Slave, is a filmmaker and writer in his own right, but he won an Oscar for writing the screenplay of 12 Years a Slave. He wrote an editorial for the LA Times asking for... Ryan Watterson would be good. You're right. You're right, Ryan. He asking for the removal of Gone with the Wind, but asking it for to be reintroduced with more perspective on the different perspectives of the Civil War, other than the idea of the prosperous South, and obviously what made the South prosperous, if you didn't know, was like slavery, which is why there is a Civil War and stuff. And he basically said it should have an introduction and given some more historical context, and he wants it to be removed until it has those things. Kind of not asking it for it to be banned or taken away or anything like that, forever, just saying let's take it away from the free streaming service. Now you can rent it on demand right now on several different places, and it went right up the charts. Now, the thing about Gone with the Wind, one, it is adjusted for inflation, the highest grossing film of all time. It is actually a very available movie. So, what's the movie? It Went with the Wind. It Went with the Wind. That's funny. Cheers to you. Tune J, Kevin. Where's the Wind? But anyway, did I say Gone with the Wind wrong? I didn't think I did. But, it's a very available film. If you really want to see Gone with the Wind, I think you could do that tonight if you really wanted to. But I agree with the thing with streaming services, and we have these kind of older films, and especially because HBO Max is the home of Turner Classic Movies, which previously, if they played a problematic film, they would have someone introduce it and explain the history of that film, and explain the context, and explain that they don't agree with it, and things like that. You can't really do that on HBO Max. I know they talked about doing things like that on HBO Max. They have not. And there's been previous, people have asked for Leonard Maltin to do that on Disney Plus and asked for there to be a host. And maybe you could, for older films, just watch the host, explain it a little to you. If those films need that. Not saying every film does, but certain films I think need that extra context. Sometimes those intros are fun. Robert Osborne killed it. I know Ben Mankiewicz does a really great job on Turner Classic Movies now. But I agree. I actually agree with that. And previously, my main problem with the criticism of Gone with the Wind had been people who hadn't seen it, and they said for a film about slavery, and it was like, well, it's not actually a film about slavery. But what John Ridley did, which I thought was actually very smart, is in his editorial he brings up that that the prosperity of the South was because of slavery, and this kind of mythos of that prosperity was sort of the issue. And when he put it, is the issue that that's this mythologizing that thing and not giving it the proper context is problematic. And I'm kind of yeah, actually, that's the first time I've actually heard one against Gone with the Wind that is really intelligent and smart, and clearly he's seen it. Now, people are comparing this to Birth of a Nation or Song of the South. Gone with the Wind is sort of a different beast in all of this. But I'm going to say I really agree with John Ridley. I do think the thing about Gone with the Wind is there are problematic parts of it, but anytime I watched it as a kid or growing up being into film, my parents would always laugh at the parts that were obviously completely ridiculous, like having a bunch of slaves go off to war and be happy about it is ridiculous, or they would tell me how that was not acceptable if it was on when I was a kid. But and even my grandparents and stuff would just lean over to me and be like, just so you know, this is Gone with the Wind is very much a fantasy. It's not trying to be true to life. I've always told it to me when I was a kid watching it. But what is this Inherent the Wind thing? That's a good movie though. But I think Gone with the Wind is probably a bigger deal than Birth of a Nation, Song of the South, because all three of these, by the way, don't need to ever be shown in a film history class. I actually, in my Birth of a Nation review, argued that you do not need to show it to kids in film history. And when I was taking film history, they always fucking showed it. And there's D.W. Griffith, the director of Birth of a Nation, is influential. Is Birth of a Nation? Not actually. And you can actually do a lot, get people into silent film and not show them something that restarted the fucking Ku Klux Klan very easily from his other films that are not as totally racist. Which I don't know why they don't do, but hey, that's everyone who teaches film history loves to play that shit, which I don't really get. Song of the South is not really that historic or important, really. I mean, there's certain elements are in terms of mixing live action with animation, and the lead actor being the first African-American actor to win an Oscar, an honorary Oscar, but he still won. And the Zippity Doo sequence, I will say, is absolutely great. Just watch that on YouTube. You're done. You don't need to watch that fucking shit. But here's the thing. Gone with the Wind, if you're into classic film and you want to understand film history, you sort of have to watch that one. You can get away with not watching those two. I can teach you how to not do it. But Gone with the Wind is highly influential. Basically, the Hollywood epic was probably one of the big, great Hollywood epics of its era. It always gets on the best Hollywood films of all time lists. It won a ton of Oscars. It's a big movie. But here's the thing. I think it should be given that context before you go into it. I think you should understand that it is a fantasy. I grew up knowing that. I'm getting the impression that a lot of people didn't. I know a lot of people won't see it because not only is it long and it's old and all those things, but it is a great little fantasy. I think there's probably some like feminist messages in there that don't get talked about enough. To be honest with you, it's about Scarlett O'Hara going through all these things and like, you know, kind of basically like coming out of all these things. I think you can present that in a positive way, but I do think you should present it as this is not real life. Do not believe in this fantasy. This is a complete fantasy, and it is not real, and I don't like that. But anyway, I agree. A lot of people are posting "Do the Right Thing." I would say I agree that "Do the Right Thing" and Paul Blart Mara Cop. I would play "Do the Right Thing" in Film History Cup. But again, the problem with film history is you're really playing important films, not good movies. That's the problem with the film history class. Is everyone is always shocked and like. You kind of have to show things that like it explain a certain elements of history. You don't play just great movies. It's not called great movies, as a film history teacher told me once. But I, you know, if you've never seen Gone with the Wind, I would say, you know, it is a great Hollywood epic. But I do think what John Ridley wrote, I completely 100% agree with, and I do think it should be given some historical context. I think it is a shame that HBO Max didn't kind of try to come up with something, but removing it I think right now is probably a good sign. And I know HBO, you know, Warner's and HBO and Turner Classic Movies is better at explaining these sort of things, and I think they should. So basically, but if you want to get into 30s Hollywood and understand those things, I think, you know, at a certain point you're going to have to watch it, and if it bothers you or it offends you, I'm sorry about that. What the? Whoa, that's a very big super chat, if I'm counting that right. Oh no, the currency. Did you maybe be careful? I think that's a lot. Did you mean to do that, Embla T? Or is it weird? I'm confused what happened. I'll just read it. Anyway, said, hey, I can finally afford the Red Bull Cheers super chat. I don't know what can I say. The last time I went to Manila since the COVIDs, I saw Bombshell. Bombshell? Like the musical from Smash? Anyway. Oh, is that the... Anyway. Cheers to you, M. Blood Tea. Cheers to you. I hope you have a good night. Cheers to you. Oh, they play the... Same powers. They play the jazz singer? Ugh. Yeah, I think that one is a problem. There are other silent films that can do that well as well. I'm sorry about that, St. Powers. Cheers to you. Anyway, Blood Tea, thank you very much for the support. I think you meant to do that? It's basically $2.50. Okay, alright. What's PHP? I don't even know what that is. I'm so confused what's going on. Oh, well, I was worried. The Bombshell was the movie from... Oh, the thing about the Fox News. Oh, I'm sorry you watched that. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, Emblet. I love the currency thing. I was concerned. Man, anyway, cheers to you. I noticed even the YouTube thing's confused. I was like, which one's PHP? I'm so confused about that. What country? Is that the Philippines or pesos? Yo, Jim. Yo. Anyway. Toon J723 said my teacher only showed clips of the jazz singer Birth of a Nation. With jazz singer, I would agree with that because you just play like you ain't heard nothing yet, and then you just play like the song, and it's like it's fine. I have seen it, by the way. I forgot Dark Phoenix too. Oh no! All right, but I just wanted to talk about Gone with the Wind, but I am serious in that if you ever really want to get into classic film, you kind of have to do it, but, you know, it was the Philippine pesos. I meant some Philippine pesos money. Sick. Thank you, Blood Tea. Alright. So, speaking as well as HBO Max, this is the funny thing about this HBO Max thing, because when he wrote that thing, I was like, it's really impassioned and articulate, and I was like, but it's like HBO Max, like no one's watching HBO Max, so I don't know about that. But HBO Max is going to phase out HBO Go and HBO Now and just make it HBO. the app, and just to focus on HBO Max. Should they have done this before? Probably. Why didn't they? I don't know, but they did it that way. Whatever. In addition to that, a bunch of their DC movies in particular are leaving the service, which is embarrassing. Not just because people like to overtalk about DC movies, particularly because of their cultural importance is about zero, but I just mean the modern ones. I mean Superman the movie and Batman. Anyway, but a lot of the ones they advertise the service with are going to be leaving soon, which is embarrassing. HBO Max continues to be an embarrassment, and Piglio did a video about them recently. It was pretty good. Anyway, moving on. HBO Max, just ridiculous what's going on there. They really, and I like that half of it, the reason they're not on Roku is they don't want to pay for Roku advertising, which is what helped like The Mandalorian and Frozen 2 spread like they did. It's like they're just so bad at this. All right, so movie theater stuff. When movie theaters will open. Right now, it doesn't look good after that Tenet thing, and I'm sure there's going to be ramifications on that. But here we go. California theaters apparently were going to open this Friday. I didn't really find out what is happening with that. But they're going to have only 25% occupancy and only 100 people to a theater. California is the largest movie-going audience, so this is a big thing. San Francisco, still not really interested in opening until August, which would Phase 4. In New York, if Phase 4 goes according to plan and no one gets more COVID, which is totally something that is probably going to happen. But if no one, I don't think the phases are going to go, I think they're in 2-week chunks. So if it goes well in New York, theaters in New York won't open until the end of July at the earliest, which is probably why Tenet moved it back there. Zane Barrows asked, do you think Tenet will get delayed again? Yes, I really think Thanksgiving was a better idea. And even Thanksgiving is a problem because when people travel, diseases spread. Like Thanksgiving is when Contagion happened, if you remember that movie. And that's accurate because, you get a lot of people get sick around that time because people are traveling. You're in close proximity with family, all these things. So I actually think Thanksgiving around then would have been a better time because that'll be between second and third waves. So you'd get go to the theater and then go back into quarantine. It's been great. Anyway, this year's going to suck. So get ready for it. Zane Powers, cheers to you. I don't know about the DC shows, but I know the movies are leaving. Now, AMC has said, above all this, that all of its theaters will open in America and UK by mid-July. That's what they're saying. Basically, worldwide, they'll have 90% of all their theaters will be open, is what they've said about that. But here's the thing about AMC saying that is, well, one, so I've heard a couple movie bloggers and people on Twitter have brought up, so if let's say it's reduced capacity, which it almost certainly will be in most places, and they're doing the math of 25% capacity, what will Tenet open with at this point? Because Tenet, let's say, most likely would make 60 to 80, and I'm being generous there. Wait, why exactly are the DC movies leaving again from Zane Powers? This seems to be a bigger thing than I thought it would be. Well, they're leaving because other streaming services bought the rights, and they just had the streaming rights for a little bit, and then they're going to leave to other services, and then they will come back to HBO Max, and eventually, because here's the thing about all these companies having during the streaming wars, they didn't set up these contracts correctly, so all their movies leave and come back. Like Black Panther, I think will leave for Netflix forever at a certain point from Disney Plus. So like these studios did not contractually figure this out years in advance. They were still signing movies away for 2024 and collecting checks like up until they started these streaming services, and then it's like they sort of went, oh shit, we shouldn't have done that. So like Disney is losing money by not making revenue from these streaming deals, as well as other Warners as well, and Warner's probably signed like Wonder Woman to go to Hulu or some, I don't know, I forget where it's going, but it's like they didn't plan these things out. So that's why you're seeing like Disney, like Princess and the Frog is on Netflix as well as Disney Plus. Some of them don't have exclusive deals. Some of them worked it out. It's like a total mess. But it is embarrassing that Warner's is having so many DC movies leaving. It's just embarrassing. So anyway, cheers to you. Thank you for the super chat. I like William Elman said I would go to a movie theater again if I could bring my own chair. That's true. But anyway, someone did the math on it, and they're saying that at best, Tenet would probably open at around 20 million, which would be a complete failure. A lot of people are saying Tenet's not really the best movie as well to open up theaters again. They're saying that Wonder Woman 84 would be, which I actually agree. That's more of a 4-quadrant thing. I mean, Tenet, most of the cast doesn't know what it's about. It's not clear. I just don't think that's really the movie. If you really think about it, like if it was a normal summer, is Tenet like that big of a thing? You know, like Wonder Woman 84, the whole industry was behind. I just think that was a better choice. So anyway, moving on. But it's interesting. That seems to be what they're doing, but we'll see like what's going to happen. Sorry. I had a story in there twice. What's going to happen with all that? So in cooler news, everyone's posting Sonic 2. Nothing happened with Sonic 2. They basically just announced it. Is they were just hoping Sonic 2 happens? I don't know. Anyway, Spider-Verse 2 is now coming out. It's been pushed back and now coming out on October 7th, 2022, and it started production this past week. So those are the two big announcements. I think it was going to come out earlier in 2022. Has been pushed back. I expect it to be pushed back again, especially with more release dates moving and things like that. But it has at least started production because you can do that remotely, thank God. Which is actually pretty cool, I think. You know, I don't know. I'm excited for that one. I think it'll be a good movie. Anyway, so the other thing that a lot of people are talking about, the debate over the mid-budget movie. Mid-budget movies are about like 30 to 50 million, which to me sounds like a perfect thing I could live on for all times. But a mid-budget film is not a superhero thing or something like that. It's just like a more expensive film with movie stars, basically. Not an indie movie, but a studio film that's just, you know, about people and stuff like that. Or an action movie that's not too high budget and not too low budget, mid-budget. And there's been kind of a debate on whether these will come back or won't. Slash Film said they won't. They think they'll be totally dead and just go to streaming. Other places are saying, no, they're not totally dead. They're totally going to come back because people will just be thirsty for things. But other people are saying, oh, the big budget things are going to come back because studio, or they'll be more budget cautious. There's no real defined thing. The one thing and a theory that a guy who I listen to, and he is a jerk on Twitter, but his podcast is actually really great. Jeff Snyder, he has a thing called The Snyder Cut. Haha, I get it. But he brought up, he's been saying this for a while, that a lot of celebrities are going to bow out of doing productions because they have enough money, they don't want to get sick, and basically you can't wear a mask while you're performing. And you should, by the way, I know there's a lot going on, and I'm not trying to minimize anything, but please remember this disease is still going on. We're still in a pandemic. Please wear a mask when you go outside. It's like the gloves thing is not 100%. Like, you don't just wash your hands when you get home, wear hand sanitizer, but please fucking wear a mask. Like, I don't want you guys getting sick. And it worries me so much that people are kind of lapsing on that, because we really don't want this to get back. If you want to go back to the theater, you want things to go back to normal, wear a fucking mask. It's like, just please do it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway, everyone moved to New Zealand. And blood to your right. Use those pesos. But a lot of big celebrities are going to not do movies and bow out of things. And we might see like smaller people who need to work kind of move up and things like that. That seems to be what's going on. But Jeff Snyder was saying it before, and then Charlize Theron basically confirmed that, and we've heard some other celebrities say that as well. So we're going to see what's going to go on. Anyway. Yeah, I noticed people think COVID's like Y2K, which is just cool. So there's apparently going to be a book that's called A Certain Point of View that's going to focus on minor characters from The Empire Strikes Back, because it is its 40th anniversary, which just passed, which is cool. It sounds kind of neat. I'm sort of interested in that, but it sounded cool. There's a trailer for an Amazon Prime film called 7,500 or 7,500, 7,500, whatever, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He is a co-pilot, and someone comes to kind of take over the plane, and his wife is a stewardess. It looks actually pretty cool. I would sort of probably say Sorry, my foot got itchy. It looks pretty cool. Joseph Gordon-Levitt hasn't come back in a little bit. I've heard some nice things about it, so I would check out that trailer if you have not. There was also 2 other trailers that I saw today, actually. The Eurovision Song Contest trailer with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams. I actually sort of like seeing Rachel McAdams in more of a straight-ahead comedy. It was kind of cool seeing her like so game to do it and play off Will Ferrell. I think Will Ferrell just feels pretty standard for him, but I know people find the Eurovision Song Contest quite hilarious, so I think there'll be a lot of interest in this. It's going to be on Netflix. It looks like kind of like a fun Balls of Fury, or Blades of Fury, whatever. It gets the people going, whatever that movie is. Will Ferrell kind of thing. If you're into that, that'd be cool. Buster's either hiding or no, he didn't. He ran out before I closed the door, so that's what happened. But yeah, as well as Mope, which is a really odd movie. Apparently, it did sort of become a hit at Sundance, and a lot of people told me it could never really be released in theaters the way it wanted. So it's kind of like an unusual kind of cult thing about a black guy and an Asian. It was like a black guy and an Asian guy who are brothers, and they want to get into porn, and they just kind of become the guys who can do anything, which is called a mope. And there's samurai swords involved, and there's porn, and David Arquette's in it. It looked kind of interesting. I'm actually, of all the trailers I saw this week, it was the only one I was like, I don't know, I would see that one. So anyway, in other, let's get to the Oscars. So the Oscars have brought up a bunch of interesting things. One is that not the 2021 ceremony, if that still happens, which they are still maintaining it will, which is interesting since there's no movie theaters and all that stuff. But they're saying that in the 2022 ceremony, it will go to 10 movies every time, which I think is a much better idea than is it 8, is it 7, is it 9, who knows, kind of thing. That'll still go on this coming year, but it will officially take place in the next year. They've also said that they will do a kind of a diversity requirements for all their films, which I don't know if the Oscars seen the movies they nominate, but I don't think a lot of that shit would pass that. But apparently they are going to. They have not really set guidelines on what that will be, but they're saying they will. And they were going to release those guidelines later. They previously, after Oscar So White, tried to get more diversify the voting block. Clearly didn't work because fucking Green Book won. But you know, that's what they did. So they're planning on doing this thing, but I'm just like, guys, I don't think that's going to work for how you do it, but I'd love it if it did. But I also don't know. I don't know. I would love to understand what these rules are going to be. And the 2022 10 movies thing is actually pretty good. They're also trying to do a streaming service thing instead of the traditional, like, go to the Academy Theater, so they can actually know if people have seen all the right nominees, so they can, or eligible sort of films, so they can vote on certain things. So that actually might change how the voting body works, because they will actually be able to electronically see if you've actually seen the movies, which I actually think would actually be really, really good, to be honest with you. So, Ryan, you're okay about the face mask, I see. Anyway, I think Ryan, you cannot wear it. Everyone else has to, except for Ryan. Ryan's the exception. It'll be 10 boomer movies. That's true. I'm bloody. So in sort of Oscar news, Netflix's film they're going to release called Mank, directed by David Fincher, which is about Ben Mankiewicz's great grandfather who wrote Citizen Kane. Is, according to the screenwriter Eric Roth, still going to be released in October. I've heard it's going to be finished. Apparently, it very much feels like a 30s, 40s film, so it sounds like fucking awesome to me. Mank is probably my most anticipated movie of the year, to be honest with you. A David Fincher-directed film about the making of Citizen Kane sounds really cool. Like a meticulous director making a film about the making of Citizen Kane just sounds like beautiful to me. So I'm really excited for that. That's going to be on Netflix. Apparently it is going to make its date, which is really exciting because I'm just happy I'm going to get to see that. I probably would have seen that. I probably would have told myself I would have seen that in theaters and wouldn't, to be honest with you. So more and more keeps coming out about the Wolfman movie I talked about 2 weeks ago, and then I think I was told I didn't, and I brought it up again because there's more info, and I have even more info about it that is going to be sort of a network meets Nightcrawler type of thing. So he's going to be a news anchor, Ryan Gosling, who turns into the Wolfman or something. That sounds really interesting. But yeah, I think that'll be cool. Oh, hi, Sinram. How you doing? Anyway, so moving on from there, the Screenlife, what's called the Screenlife technology, which is basically how Unfriended and Searching is made, which is presented by the guy who directed Wanted, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce. He kind of has a deal with Universal where he makes these movies, which I believe wasn't Searching part of that. I think it is, and I forgot to look it up. Searching 2018 film. But basically, he has pitched and sold to Universal 5 pitches on this idea, the Screenlife technology, which is basically this idea that you were seeing the whole movie takes place on a screen, much like, oh, I don't think it is Universal. Oh, it's not. Oh, no, he was involved. But he did it with Sony. Okay, well, anyway, Searching was the only good one of those, where it's basically everything happens on the screen. He has sold 5... He has 5 pitches, basically, of this pitch, which you'd think... I actually thought when... It's Timur Berkabatatev, I think. But when... he sold 5 of these pitches, which you think during COVID, you'd try to make as many of these movies as you could, because you can actually make them. But he's said that he wants to do all sorts of genres, although he's only done Unfriended, Unfriended 2, and Searching, to my knowledge of it. Searching was definitely the best one. Check out Searching if you haven't. I think Unfriended, the first one, got it wasn't that great, but it just got really picked apart by people, which I thought was a little ridiculous, if you ask me. But I think it's fine. It's just like a dumb little horror thing. The second one was awful, though. But yeah, he's really into this. He wants to make a sequel of Wanted, which is a film he directed, taking place as the Screenlife thing, but whatever. That's he's really into this. He wants to do rom-coms this way. He wants to do all sorts of... He says he has 80 different ideas for this kind of technology. He's really into it, and it's his big thing. I'm sure any studio is just buying pitches for this shit right now because you can make it and make money with it, which I think is optimal at this time. And you can also sell it to others, streaming services and stuff. It's very cheap to make, especially right now. So I think I could see some of these happening, but a Wanted sequel taking place only on a screen doesn't make any sense to me. What's weird is I've only seen these kind of movies in theaters. I've never seen any of them on a laptop, and I've always wanted to know what it was like. Would you eventually look at those kind of things and then just go to another tab and forget you're watching the movie because it feels so much like you're watching it on your computer? I always wondered that. Anyway, he also produced Hardcore. I like Hardcore Henry. Alright, so Paul King, who directed the first 2 Paddington films, is not going to come back for the 3rd Paddington film. I think we sort of knew this, but he made it official. So cool. I don't think... A couple people have mentioned it's maybe a Zoom movie. I don't think it's a Zoom movie. I think it's sort of just this technology's already had going. So, sort of a similar thing that he's had going on. And asexual is trending just because of SpongeBob. That's kind of neat. Or it was? Nope, still trending. Still trending. Okay, so, sorry. The Crossing Swords trailer, which is kind of from the makers of Robot Chicken, I think it's on Hulu. I forget what streaming service it's on. It's this new thing. It's a very horny kind of what looks like characters from Playmobil fantasy show. It looked okay. It wasn't my sort of thing, but it looked fine. I know it was making the rounds and it was a trailer I could talk about. I guess that's all it is, but it doesn't look like something I'd ever watch. There was an update on Cartoon Saloon and Wolfwalkers, and thanks for Will for telling me about this one, actually. And it's going to be distributed by Apple Plus. Now, there have been a lot of talks about Cartoon Saloon having an exclusive deal with Apple Plus, or Apple. Nothing came out about that, to be honest with you. We never heard any more. We just heard it was being pursued, and nothing official came of it. And then we just got the news that this will be distributed through Apple Films and Apple Plus and things like that. That sounds great. I know the Greyhound, the Tom Hanks film is going to come out soon. So, Crossing Swords came out yesterday. Okay, good for that show. But Wolfwalkers is going to be distributed by Apple. It seems like Cartoon Saloon is probably going to go more in the direction of Apple, which is probably good for them because Apple's got a lot of money. But if you want to watch Wolfwalkers, you're going to have to go get that Apple Plus account, basically. But I heard Central Park is good, and other shows on there. But I think that's cool for them, and maybe it'll work out for them. Hopefully, they have deep Oscar pocket money for Cartoon Saloon. I know a lot of people. Two obituaries, and then I'll take a break, and then we'll do Heat Vision and Jack. So, Kurt Thomas, the star of Jim Cotta, I think he died last weekend. I know Jim Cotta is a really fun movie. It's sort of an Enter the Dragon meets gymnastics film, believe it or not. And here we go. Tamora Burkachub was also responsible for producing 9. Of course, I'll bring that up. Hardcore Henry and the Lost Gareth Edwards Project Forever. Oh, thank you very much. I guess he's almost more of a producer at this point than a director, really. But anyway, cheers to you, Will. Thank you for that. But Kurt Thomas is kind of an interesting guy. He was supposed to be a major player in the Olympics. That didn't happen because the U.S. wouldn't be a part of it because of Soviet involvement. And then he went pro before the next Olympics. So he kind of didn't have the career he was supposed to have, but he got to be in Jim Cotta, which has become this huge cult film. But he died last week, as well as a very famous... it was the same director as Enter the Dragon, I believe, right? I think you're right. A big kind of Batman writer, Green Lantern and Green Arrow writer, Denny O'Neil, who died this week, who's a big deal and major fixture in DC and the comics industry. We lost this week as well, so R.I.P. to both of them. And R.I.P. to everyone who passed away. That's a good way to put it. Alright, so I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. We will talk about Heat Vision and Jack, and then we'll do... Tubi recommendations is this week. I forgot to say that. Why didn't you talk about Wakfu? What? Wakafu? I don't know what that means, but I'm sorry? What's that stand for? Cheers to you, Zane Powers? W-A-K-F-U. Wakfu? Wakafu? I have no clue what's going on with that. Anyway, I'm going to go to the bathroom really quick. That's true. Green Lantern Green Arrow was a good book. A really good book. I haven't read that in a little bit. Anyway, I will be back to do a review of Heat Vision and Jack, and then Tubi recommendations with an actual video. Oh, okay. Well, I haven't seen Wakfu. I'm sorry, guys. Wakfu is a French animated series. Okay. It had a Kickstarter. Anyway, I'll be right back. Then we'll do that. We're going to have a Tubi. I'm going to try to play a video of the person recommending Tubi stuff. It's going to be cool. Then we'll do questions. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Ugh. What's going on? Did you, Zane Powers? When did you send me a message? Hold on. Oh, I totally missed this thing from you, Zane Powers. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I don't know how I missed that. That sucks. Sorry about that. I feel bad about that now. I'm sorry. Anyway, how about this? I will talk about it next week. Oh, cool. I will talk about it next week. Sorry about that. I literally missed. I didn't see that message. I feel bad about that. Anyway, so yes, I'm doing 2 segments. I forgot to mention in all my things that I'm going to do a Tubi recommendations, and I have the recommendation from the other person. I'm going to try to play the video. If the audio is really bad, because of my OBS, then we'll bow out, but we're going to try it. It will definitely be cut in a better way when I do the separate video, but it's my friend Matt Berry, who's a great cinephile. I'm excited. He did a cool video, and I was like, I'm not going to get his same enthusiasm. He's really good. So I was like, let's play this. Anyway, so let me drink some water. Apologies to Zane Powers again. I don't know how I missed that. Anyway, it's time to talk about Heat Vision and Jack. So what is Heat Vision and Jack, you might ask? It is a pilot which was written by Dan Harmon and Rob Schrab. It was created by them, and I've heard various different stories, and I want to credit this podcast with called Who's Piloting This, which I listened to today, and some of it I'm not sure. I couldn't find it 100% verified on some of this, but I did sort of listen to it, and let's give people, okay, if you want to listen to that, it's all right. It's not an amazing podcast, to be honest with you. It's no pizza party. Also, this was, by the way, this was well, I'll say it at the end. But it was created by Rob Schrab and Dan Harmon. I've heard to get out of a contract with ABC. They had a deal with them, and they basically wanted to create something stupid that they would pass on. But then they had a lot of fun with it and really liked doing it, and they made this thing called Heat Vision and Jack. Now, what it is about a astronaut who flies too close to the sun, and our brains are sort of like cookie dough, and when they get hot, they expand. And so Jack, anytime the sun is out, becomes 3 times smarter than the smartest man alive and has genius level intelligence, whereas but then when it's night, he becomes a normal man. And then Heat Vision is his friend who was transformed and melded with a motorcycle by a secret government experiment laser. It's supposed to call back to the $6 Million Man and Manimal and things of that nature. Jack was played by Jack Black, and then Heat Vision was voiced by Owen Wilson. And this was directed by Ben Stiller, who does a pretty funny intro at the beginning of this where he talks about how he won an Emmy. Now, Ben Stiller at this time, and he's kind of the key to how this all happened, basically. He found the script somehow, and he absolutely loved it. I think he might have been friends with them or something, but it doesn't matter. He found it. And because at the time he was just coming off of There's Something About Mary, and he was hot, and TV producers were listening to him. Now, ABC passed. NBC, sort of slightly considered... what was that? Anyway, sorry. NBC slightly considered it. Some of the junior executives, NBC wasn't interested. Then Fox picked it up. They had a history with Ben Stiller from the Ben Stiller Show. Now, the Ben Stiller thing is interesting because Ben Stiller at this time, he was, after There's Something About Mary, he hadn't fully become a movie star, but he was more, he made this show called The Ben Stiller Show, which was sort of a proto, I think it was pre-Mr. Show. It's more alternative comedy type of thing. And Ben Stiller was sort of more in that mode at the time. He hadn't gone full Meet the Parents, basically. And so the whole, this more plays into those sensibilities. This whole pilot plays more like a sketch. And when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, this is more like the Ben Stiller show, Ben Stiller. And maybe this is the last gasp of it. Kind of the last gasp of that kind of alternate comedy Ben Stiller, basically. But he directed it, and it became the most expensive pilot 20th Century Fox had ever produced. They kept needing more money to do all the cheesy effects and silly things and pay everybody high salaries and all. It just got ridiculous. And of course it didn't get picked up. Now, because it is sort of like an extended sketch of a joke of a thing, I can sort of see that. It plays like a live action Adult Swim show does now. And I can see it maybe being like a 6-episode thing or something like that. I really honestly can't see it being like a real show. But the thing about it, Christina Applegate? What are we talking about? Are we talking about something else? Anyway, sorry. I shouldn't look over at the chat and be like, context? I don't need any. But it is interesting, you get, this came out in 1999, you get Jack Black before he's a movie star. Owen Wilson hadn't really become as big yet. He was, I guess, yeah, he wasn't in, like, the Royal Tenenbaums would come out the next year, to give you further context. But it wasn't picked up and became kind of a cult thing, basically, and it sort of leaked on the internet post after that. You also have Ron Silver, who plays this kind of like bad guy type of, he plays the Hollywood actor Ron Silver, who's also an FBI agent, which is a funny bit they do. This is a fun pilot, and it's worth a watch, actually. Last night I actually poured a glass of whiskey and watched it and had a good time with it. But it's sort of like a weird kind of funny short film. And they even kind of act like it's an episode. It says episode 14, despite being the pilot. Like, it's sort of like a lot of 70s shows where, like, people just, like, drifters wandering on the road, which is such a 70s thing. Now that just sounds like a depressing drama, which I would be into a show called Drifter, called that. But much like The Incredible Hulk, basically. If you ever saw that show with Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, that they just kind of go from town to town, and Jack rides heat vision and so forth. And they kind of find this guy who picks up a weird frequency that's like an alien. It infects him, takes him over, and he becomes like this alien guy. And Heat Vision and Jack have to stop it, and they run into what's her name? Damn it! They run into the sheriff there, played by... Sorry. It's hard to remember everything. Who was played by Christine Taylor, who was the sheriff in it. Not Christine Applegate. Christine Taylor, she would later become Ben Stiller's wife. They actually met making this pilot, which is kind of interesting. It is a really funny pilot, and I'd heard about it before. If you ever watched that show, that channel Trio in the early 2000s, they had a thing like Brilliant But Canceled, and did specials and documentaries on like pilots that were kind of notorious, and this is one they talked about a lot. And they had interviews with Dan Harmon and Rob Schrab, who did a lot of press for like this ridiculous pilot that got made, but I think it became more infamous because, all these people would go on to be a lot bigger, and Dan Harmon and Rob Schrab for a long time weren't part of that. Actually, they were kind of just like these writers who had this weird pilot and nothing happened to, and then Dan Harmon created Community, and then Rick and Morty, and Rob Schrab almost directed Lego Movie 2, and directed all the Mystery Science Theaters, and has done a lot of cool stuff. Basically almost everyone involved in this pilot has become a lot bigger since, making this pilot a lot bigger of a deal. It actually has some funny jokes. Like, I love the theme song. Sort of reminds me of how the Rick and Morty theme song calls back to 70s and 80s sci-fi stuff. Sort of reminds me of Heat Vision and Jack as well. You can sort of sound not too many common things with that. It's sort of like very early Dan Harmon before Community and all those things. But yes, Christine Taylor is probably most known for the Brady Bunch. I should have brought that up. I love the Brady Bunch, but man, I should just review those. I love those movies so much. They're like so great. But they actually have a really funny, one of the funny jokes I wrote down in my notes was that this one backs up to the the jukebox and a Third Eye Blind semi-charm kind of life plays, and it was like cuts the tension in the scene, like just ruins it, but it's like it actually made me laugh. And I was, even that time period, I was so used to hearing Third Eye Blind that the fact that it made me laugh, I never liked Third Eye Blind, but it made me laugh, which is pretty crazy. But you know, I one thing I liked about it more now, and I'd seen this pilot, I'd actually seen this pilot before I really knew who Dan Harmon was. I think this is pre-Channel 101 really for him. He would go on to make that as well after this. But I didn't really know Dan Harmon and Rob Schrab. I watched this originally when someone had a bootleg of it as a Ben Stiller show kind of thing. And it's interesting watching it in a whole new light since then. And I still find it, like, if you like Dan Harmon, it's worth checking out. There'll be a YouTube link. I posted on Twitter, things like that. I posted on Twitter, and when this is a video later, it'll be in the description down below. If someone wants to put it in the chat, sorry, I don't have the link on me right now, but you should check it out. It's a cool, fun pilot. If you're thirsty for some more Dan Harmon stuff, it's definitely worth checking out. You won't be disappointed with your half hour. I had a good time with it. There always talk of like making a movie out of it or an animated series. Nothing too confirmable or movement on that if it actually happened. Some people are saying, well, Jack Black's not doing anything, so maybe he could. I mean, sure. I don't think this would be like a huge thing, to be honest with you. I think it's just like a funny, weird idea that got way out of control. And, you know, it's just like people riffing on these weird 70s sci-fi things like Manimal and things of that nature. Thank you, Austin and Ryan, for posting that in there. But everyone, please check it out after this show's done. I think it is like a fun thing to watch. It's a fun pilot. It's one of the more infamous pilots in TV history. It really is. And it's become even more infamous because you have Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Jack Black, Christine Taylor, Ron Silver, but also Dan Harmon and Rob Schrab, who created like one of the most noteworthy pilots of all time that literally didn't become anything. Should it have become anything? Probably not. If they had pitched it to Adult Swim and Adult Swim had been what Adult Swim was 10 years later, maybe it could have been something, but it was also way too damn expensive. So, you know, it's just sort of like an interesting, odd, funny pilot, and the last kind of remnants of kind of the alternative comedy Ben Stiller and the Ben Stiller show that probably none of you watching really remember at this point anyway. So it's sort of like an odd little Dan Harmon, Ben Stiller kind of like, sometimes I like watching weird things where you get all these people at these weird points in their career and you get this kind of weird concoction of what it was. And it's just very Generation X, very much of that time, those kind of references, but I kind of love it for all those things. And Heat Vision and Jack just embodies that so well. It's like the perfect kind of weird 70s Generation X sort of riff, sort of thing with that really fun Dan Harmon humor. I also like all the monkey horse stuff in that. That's pretty funny too. Anyway, all right. I think that was good. I hope I did you proud, Austin. And I want to say thank you very much, Austin, for making me do this. I'm really happy I did that. And by the way, this should be Austin. Great job, and great job as always. I know about the Edge. I think there's a bunch of, but you can't find a lot of it. But I think Cancel Too Soon did The Edge, I thought. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, anyway, but thank you, Austin, for that. You did a awesome suggestion. But try to use the suggest things to Jim thing. Pilots, if it's, I would say an hour is the max, but I'd go half hour. Pilots and shorts that are kind of things would be cool. Jim in the Butch Hartman style? I don't know if I want that, but all right, so let's do recommendations for Tubi, and I'm gonna play a video during this, so that'll be cool. Hopefully I'll do it right. I hope we'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna do my part, and then we're gonna try this, and then questions after. So Tubi is an interesting streaming service in that it is free, and I've heard a lot of cinephiles and movie lovers really go gaga for it because it has a lot of rare and previously unavailable things on it. But if you go to Tubi and you just go to its homepage, it looks like they just have a bunch of crap that it just looks like they have a bunch of crap that they somehow got the rights to, and you don't really get like why anyone would find that special whatsoever. So it's really a streaming service you have to hunt through, search on, really have to dig deep into and find some cool treasures. I did find some stuff. The guy who's helping me tonight is Matt Berry, who's an amazing, awesome guy. We're actually working on a couple of short films. I have a voice in his short film, Lights Out, which is coming out soon. I think they just completed filming on that. So I'm excited on that, and we're working on another one that I will tell you about later. But we've made about, I think it's our 9th or 10th short. We've made a lot of shorts together. He's a great guy, and he's an amazing... I'm going to talk Matt up a little bit. I will tell you, when I talk to other cinephiles, they also want me... They almost want to know as much about me as they want to know about Matt, because he's just very, very intelligent, very smart film lover. Anyway, and a great guy. And helped me do helped work on the What is Auteur Theory video. He's done a lot. I love him. Moving on. Sorry. I praise people maybe. But Tubi is a great service. It has a lot for free. So if you're especially, having problems with money right now and need a streaming service to watch that is free, Tubi is great for that. It has a lot of notable things and kind of cheaper things as well as other stuff. So I'm going to go through the ones I found. I think Matt came up with better ones, but I'm going to show my recommendations. But I do recommend this service. I know that actually, speaking of Cancel Too Soon, which I just did, they did an episode on the 90s Nancy Drew series, which was actually kind of interesting. So I would say that would be, there's some interesting odd shows on there. So if you've ever been looking for something, I would say just type in years, type in actors. You really can't search by director, I've noticed, because I tried that. But you can find some interesting stuff. So let's go into stuff to recommend on Tubi. If I have a review of it, it'll be linked in this video when it's a separate video thing. If I have a review for any of these videos, the review will be linked below in the list of movies to watch. So they have both The Raid and The Raid 2 on here. If you haven't seen The Raid, it's one of the best action movies of the past decade, and I highly recommend it. The Raid 2 is also really good, so if you're going to do that. The Raid 2 is also good, so if you like The Raid, I would also recommend The Raid 2. They're good to watch there. Ryan is right, they do have a lot of Canadian TV, from my understanding. They had Degrassi, I noticed that was on there. They also have a really cool B action film called Ninja Shadow of a Tear, which I think is an amazing B VOD action film. I really love Ninja Shadow of a Tear. I actually watched some of it when I was going through Tubi. They have Stagecoach, which is John Wayne's... It's basically what made John Wayne a movie star. It's one of John Ford's best movies. It's one of the best Westerns of all time. If you ever wanted to get into Western, it is a good place to start. And it kind of makes you understand, why was John Wayne such a thing? That is the movie that made it happen, so it'll tell you. As well as they have The Flying Deuces, I believe it's called, which is it The Flying Deuces? Oh man, now I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Anyway, it's a Laurel and Hardy feature, which I've seen way too many times on way too many formats because it would always... I think it's in the public domain. It's great. Is it... Now I'm going to look it up. I feel stupid. The Flying Deuces. 1939. Is it 39? You know what's funny? I always thought it was... it is Laurel and Hardy. Okay, whatever. But anyway, that's a good one as well. They also have Gem and the Holograms. The original is on there as well. And since no one's brought it up in the chat, they do have Juana Man and Monster Trucks. I also noticed on every streaming services Black Lives Matter section, they always have Juana Man, which I'm like, that's really the movie you're gonna do? Anyway, Trayvon Reed said Monster Trucks is on Tubi. Cheers to you for bringing it up, I think, almost when I said it, but cheers to you, Trayvon Reed. So they also have the Hey Arnold movie, which, hey, if you ever want to watch the Hey Arnold movie and not pay for it, you can do it. Dog City's on there? Damn, I didn't see that one. They have a lot of weird stuff on there. But Hey Arnold movies on there, as well as Night of the Comet, which is a crazy, fun 80s cult movie. I've never reviewed it, but it's basically about these teenage girls who everyone is vaporized by a comet except for them, and they have the whole world at their disposal. Some people become zombies, and they have to fight off all these. And I think a girl survives because the projection booth is lined with lead, so she survives this comet destroying everyone. It's a really cool movie. As well as they have Fire and Ice, the classic Ralph Bakshi, Frank Frazetta film, which I've always liked. I know some people think it's sort of lame, but I've always sort of liked Fire and Ice. I haven't watched in a while. They have a ton of Mystery Science Theater 3000, which I did not realize at first, and now I love this service even more. They have Manos. Manos is one of the best comedy films of all time, if you ask me. Ryan is just selecting things. They have the good 90s cartoon. What's the good one? Because the influential one is the one. Does Ryan mean if it's Sad AM? I would say the real one is the one that was on that had more episodes that was crappier animated. That's the more influential one, actually. So that would be the better one at this point. Anyway, but they have a Sonic show on there. You should also see Angel and the Bad Man, which is another classic Western with John Wayne, which I would highly recommend as well. That's on. They have a lot of crappier John Wayne Westerns, like B ones, but they have some good ones as well, and Angel and the Bad Man would continue out. The Saturday one was good, but I would recommend the other one, because I know, in particular, OKKO is highly influenced by that. They also have, and this is the last two, Death Race 2000, the original, the great cult movie. That's a really fun film, pretty gnarly and all that. And then finally, A Boy and His Dog, which is a film my parents wouldn't let me watch for a long time, but then I was able to. All right, so I'm going to play, hopefully not screw up playing Matt Berry's recommendation video. We're going to see if this works. If it doesn't, we'll cut away, and you guys tell me if it sounds really bad. I hope it works. And here we go. Here's Matt. Oh, wait, he's muted. Hold on.
So my first pick is a documentary that came out a few years ago called The Lost City of Cecil B. DeMille. And this tells a fascinating story both of the make. I'm Matt Berry, and these are my 5 recommended movies that are currently streaming on Tubi. Okay, so my first pick is a documentary that came out a few years ago called The Lost City of Cecil B. DeMille. And this tells a fascinating story both of the making of his silent epic, The Ten Commandments, but also of the group of researchers decades later who went back to the deserts where DeMille filmed his movie and their efforts to unearth the giant sets that had been buried underneath the sand for all those decades. I highly recommend this documentary for movie lovers. Okay, my next pick is another film documentary, Milius. This is the story of the legendary screenwriter John Milius, one of the most colorful characters in Hollywood history. Milius was a contemporary of Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Martin Scorsese. He was part of that new Hollywood moment. And this documentary is a great portrait of that time and all of the great films that Milius worked on and the colorful adventures that he had during his time in Hollywood. Alright, my next pick is a childhood favorite and a classic of the fantasy film genre, the 1940 production of The Thief of Baghdad, produced by the legendary Alexander Korda. This is a lavish Technicolor production featuring groundbreaking special effects, wonderful performances, sumptuous production design. It was a big influence on countless fantasy films to follow and was a big inspiration for George Lucas when he was creating his Star Wars series. Okay, next up, on a much darker note, is the 1960 British thriller Peeping Tom, directed by Michael Powell. This came out the same year as Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, and there's a lot of similarities between the films. It takes a really dark look at this character of a serial killer, and what makes this one unique is that the killer films his victims, capturing their reactions just in the moments before they die. It's a very dark, disturbing movie, but highly recommended for fans of the thriller genre. Okay, so my last choice is kind of an offbeat one, but it's a personal favorite of mine. This is Cuban Rebel Girls from 1959. This is a low-budget, down-and-dirty, cheap exploitation picture, actually shot on location in Cuba, and starring Errol Flynn in his last movie role. Perhaps more interesting than the film itself are the legendary stories surrounding its production. So if you check out the movie, I would recommend reading a little bit about its making. It's quite a story.
Where am I? There's my voice. Okay, I hope you like that. I wanted to try to do that. And Matt knows his shit, basically. But thank you very much, Matt, for those recommendations. I just thought, thank you very much, Matt, for those recommendations. As you can tell, I think he he had a lot of enthusiasm, and I didn't think I could match that, so I wanted to do that. I wanted to show his video instead of mine. Maybe I'll try to show the videos that are usually in the segments during these from now on. I actually got to play a video. I got it to work. I know how to use the OBS, kids. All right, so before we get into questions, let me do some Patreon questions, and then we'll do your questions, and then we'll call it a night. But yeah, oh, wait, before I do that. Sorry, hold on. Let me say, you should check out Tubi. It is a great service. Thank you very much for Matt Berry. Check out his YouTube channel where it has short films with myself in them and some really cool videos about film history as well. Thank you very much to him. Check out all his stuff. Follow him on Twitter. He's a great guy. And check out Tubi. It's an interesting and fun streaming service for cinephiles, really, and especially for searching around. I think there's some cool stuff in there. And, yeah, check it out. All right. Congratulations, Jim. Okay. All right. So let's do some questions, and then I'll see William Ellman's question. Hold on. I'll start. All right. Mail Tears. These are some Patreon questions. Hey, Jim. This is from Mail Tears. I have 3 Patreon questions, and then I'll get to everyone else. Hey, Jim. Seeing as you were old enough to be aware of current events at the time, do you remember of any of the media coverage pertaining to the Michael Ang murders during the 2003 movie Party Monster was based on? I'm talking late 80s, early 90s. I heard a little about that, to be honest. I know you're so obsessed with Party Monster. I heard a little about that at the time, but not a ton. It wasn't like as big of a thing, really, because I wasn't in New York. But I had heard of it before the movie came out, basically. That's basically my answer. All right, so from Sinram, if you had a say in the matter, how would you incorporate Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool into the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I think he should be introduced in his own movie. Also, that's Sinram. Check out Sinram's stuff, by the way. He's a great YouTube channel still. Sorry. I would say he should be in his own movie and then be in an Avengers thing later, but I think his own movie that he explains he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now would be the best way to do it. And then have him make maybe like a cameo and like wink at the camera. But I really think it should best be done in his own film by himself. Like he could walk in during the multiverse thing with Doctor Strange. Maybe that's it. But there's also been no announcements, so I don't even know when this is happening. We just keep hearing how they're meeting and how they're trying to figure it out. But he's too much of a big character for them not to, really. And then we have Will here. Hold on. Sorry. This is kind of an epic one. Well, it's a little longer. Okay, Will says, do you think Kenneth Branagh took the job of helming or directing Artemis Fowl so Disney would allow him to do Death on the Nile? Or do you theorize something else going on? That's the only thing that makes any rational sense to me considering the final product. By the way, not even out of morbid curiosity, don't watch Artemis Fowl even for content coverage. It's probably the most pathetic thing I've sat through this year. I seriously finished a script for it in less than 30 minutes. Review coming real soon from me. Oh, cool. Well, check out Will's YouTube channel. It's really great. Let me say this. I don't think that's true. To my understanding, Death on the Nile was approved. I think that's with Fox, not Disney. And I think it was approved before the merger. And I think it's because that his Murder on the Orient Express did do well. I don't know. Kenneth Branagh, I know people really like, but he also did that Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit movie. Like, he's done some bad stuff lately. I didn't actually like Cinderella. I know other people did. But he kind of like, I think he did it as a paycheck thing, and he knew he could have a big hit. And since Thor, he's been dubious. So I actually think he thought this could be something and it went awry. But him as a blockbuster director isn't as interesting as him as a Kenneth Branagh director. But I've never gotten as into him, and I think I liked his Hamlet though, and I haven't seen anything from him since then I've ever liked as much. So I actually just don't think he has good taste when it comes to blockbusters. I think he has better taste when he does like his literary and Shakespeare adaptations. So I think that's probably more of it. And that Jack Ryan movie he did was considered really awful. I remember, didn't like Stuckman do a video essay about how bad the action sequences were? So he doesn't. I just think as action director, he's like an assignment director basically. So I think that's what's going on. I don't think that there was this whole thing to get Death on the Nile approved. I think they wouldn't have approved it if the first one didn't do as well. So there's a cat meowing outside. Anyway, well, thank you for all of my patrons. Thank you very much for being amazing patrons. Thank you, Will, Sinram, and Males Tears for the questions. Check out Will's YouTube channel. When that brief view comes up, I will retweet it, and check out Sinram's channel as well. All right, let's get to some questions. I think I'll do about 10 minutes. If I missed your question, there's the Discord thing. Or, by the way, leave a comment below this video. I will answer it. I think I try to answer most questions. So, I'm starting with William Ellman. William Ellman, question. Hey, Jim, do you have any songwriting tips you could share? Also, do you have a favorite haunted house movie? I would say The Innocents, 1961, Jack Clayton. I'd probably be basic and say Poltergeist. I've seen most of the big ones, and I still like Poltergeist the most. I'm sorry, that's very lame of me. But I've seen like The Old Dark House. I've seen The Haunting. It's been a while. I remember really liking The Haunting, but maybe Repulsion actually. But I'll say that. Songwriting tips. I don't write that many songs, and when I do, it's usually like when I have both the inspiration and the opportunity to do so. I would say just go with what you're doing. Sometimes I've heard a lot of people just write like how they feel and not necessarily for it to make sense and like just have words they feel like are good for that. I would say that, but it also just mess around. In terms of creating things, I'm more of like, I think of the idea and just go forward with it and I just think of things I can plausibly do. So I think of like what rhymes or what music you can possibly, you can make, and then try to push yourself from there. I hope that helps. I don't know. Hopefully. Ace the Wind Rider. If you could play video games with one celebrity, who would it be and what game? Turtles in Time with Corey Feldman. Sure. Cornbread. That was from Ace the Wind Rider back there. Sorry. Cornbread said, what do you think about Nick leaving Rachel Bighead, Rocco's Minor Life out of the LGBTQ Pride tweet? That's interesting, actually. Follow up. Do you think there might be any reason she was excluded? Huh. That's actually a very good question. Yeah, why? That's a good point. I don't know. I don't think there was a reason. They might have forgotten. I forgot until you brought that up. I didn't think of that. So I would say he did. They should have included her. She should have been included. Anyway. Tannerlands asks, question, with the success of the Sonic movie, do you think there will be a Sega Cinematic Universe? And if so, how long will we be before they make a Toe Jam and Earl movie? I don't think. I think Sonic is probably going to be its own franchise. I could see them doing stuff like that. I think Toe Jam and Earl might work for a streaming service. I don't think at this time, especially with Hollywood the way it is now, I think it'll be a while, but I think if it's going to happen, it'd be a streaming service thing. That's what I think would happen. Bruce Parker, which Nick show should have been introduced with a movie, Jimmy Neutron Barnyard style? Maybe actually Rocco, Invader Zim. Let's go with Invader Zim. That would be a good introduction. When is the X-Men coming my way? From Austin. I guess this is from you suggested Pride the X-Men, but I have already reviewed it from like 9 years ago. I think YouTube told me. I don't know. Hopefully soon. Major Mekazawa. I'm sure you know MC Chris from his roles on Aqua Teen, Hunger Force, and Sea Lab 2020, but I was wondering if you listened to his music. Love the song Fede's Vente. I have listened to his music. I actually have. Do you want to? I'm gonna. Okay, I'll tell this story. So, I have listened to his music, and I actually ran my college radio stations. I ran my college radio station. I was the station manager, and we were supposed to have MC Chris's tour come to our college, and we had worked it out with another guy who was we did shows, and he ran the shows. He was really good at it, and we were supposed to have MC Chris, and that was going to happen in a month. And we had a different show with the band World Inferno, and that show got really out of hand and trashed the student center really badly. Like, people were hanging off the lighting fixtures, and so the school wouldn't let us do shows anymore, and we had to pull out of the MC Chris tour. So that's my MC. I never got to meet him, but I was supposed to get to meet him. Never did. Anyway, that's a story. There we go. Thanks, World Inferno. They didn't encourage it. They tried to get people to stop, and they were helping us. They were very nice, but their fans, that show got really out of control. and they wouldn't give me proper security, and that's a whole other thing. Anyway, so let's do this. Jordan Salafalo. Basically, Christian Slater was going out with Kim Walter at the time of filming Heathers. Who's Kim Walker? Is that one of the Heathers? Oh, that wasn't a question. Why did I even read that? I don't understand why I read that. I guess. Maybe he was. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure why I read that. Nathaniel Fogo, is Sophie enjoying the Monster Trucks toy? Actually, she really is. I put it all together, and I should have brought it out. Maybe next show I'll bring it out, Nathaniel Fogo. But we were kind of cleaning things out, and I still had this thing in the box, and I was like, why don't we let her play with it? And she had a lot of fun, and it comes with this thing you can break a guardrail kind of thing, and she was like, look at this, smash, look at this, smash. So she's enjoying it, so thank you very much. She is playing with it. Another question from Nathaniel Fogo. Would J-Dog drink Red Bull? Fuck yeah, he would. I guess I am J-Dog. I don't think about that enough. Of all the characters. Anyway, cheers to you. Not plausible. Not a question, but did you know that RoboCop had to be edited up to 11 times before it could get its rating down to an R? I did know, and I have the unrated cut, and it's amazing. Austin, how did you and your dad beat the X-Men arcade game? We had 1 million quarters, and we just kept pumping it. I think my dad spent way too much money in quarters, but we did beat it at the Ocean City Boardwalk. And then people came in and helped us. It was an epic. That's a good memory of us. Oh man, I love that arcade game, especially when it's like the 2 screens. The best. I love that arcade game so much. I'm sure there's an emulator that I can play it. I'm sure there's like an app or something. It's never as good as that. Just an amazing arcade game. I love that, and it's one of my best gaming memories of all time. But yeah, it was a lot of quarters, basically. A lot of thing about Heathers. I have reviewed Heathers. It was a while ago, but I did review it. Not plausible. Does Buster have any movie recommendations? Sometimes certain shows or movies can grab the attention of pets. It was Problem Solvers. He really liked that. Since then, he hasn't showed as much. He mainly likes a show that makes me sit down and so I can pet him and brush him and stuff like that because he needs to be brushed. Black Seahawks, cool. What's your favorite episode of the Sonic cartoon? I could not tell you, to be honest. It's been a bit, but the one where he eats chili dogs. That's my favorite. So, was Nixon a werewolf? Absolutely, all the time. Austin asked that one. Not plausible. Is it hip to be square? No, not really. Bruce Parker, what does Electric Boogaloo mean, and why was that what they chose for the subtitle Breakin' 2? I have no clue, and that movie is not even that good. Breakin' is good. It's a funny title, but I wish people would stop saying it because I have seen Breakin' 2, and it's like kind of fun, and they came out the same year. I don't know. Watch Breakin'. Breakin' 2 is like, it's just a dumb joke. I don't know. Man, I guess Artemis Fowl's really bad, apparently. Crap, I lost my question. Where's Perry? I like that. That's from Ryan Walterson. I lost. Where was I? Was that it? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Question. When will you take us to Mount Splashmore? When will you take us to Mount Splashmore? Next weekend. Jesus, Ryan. Okay. Cornbread, do you remember the Mike Hat joke from Ghostbusters Answer the Call, formerly known as Ghostbusters 2016? Why did you know? Since I think about this joke on a daily basis. I sort of remember it, but not really that well. Let me do like 3 more and then we'll call it a night, I think. Sinam Sam Satam says, not really a question, but you reviewed Pro Mare recently, and I just think it's cool that you're 2 degrees of separation. I am? Does Ian know him or something? Or does Pan? Or is he? Okay. I guess I am. That's cool. Didn't know that. Probably should have. Blood T, did you miss the Sin Mass? Also, this year's getting worse for me, but your show cheers me up. Okay, I'm doing okay, so thank you for that. Yes, Jack Ryan was disposable. Question, you hear about the Chuck E. Cheese might file for bankruptcy from Austin. I did hear that. I didn't really want to cover it because it hasn't happened yet. I don't want to add to the publicity of a company because there's enough economic problems going on. But it is sad if Chuck E. Cheese went away. I don't think it represents as much to kids nowadays as it did for me when I grew up. Black Saxon, cool. How do you feel about cartoons that are made in HD only getting DVD releases? I think it sucks, but that's sometimes the only thing they can do financially, unfortunately. My advice to anyone, if you want more of that, buy any show you like on Blu-ray and buy it for your friends as presents and support it as much as possible if you really... Yeah. Question, Pig Pancake. Have you seen any of Scrolophilus's production videos? He's the guy who did Why Shrek 2 is a Perfect Video Sequel. I think I've seen a bunch of them. He's alright. I don't subscribe, I don't think. Maybe I did a long time ago. But it's not someone I go to normally. Oh, man. Okay, I guess I'm let's see. Let's do... Okay. Let me do a question for someone I don't normally answer for... Question, would you watch any good Yakuza movies? I think Black Rain is. Medela Butterfly, Jim, have you reviewed Gen 13, the movie from 2000? No, but I've been thinking about it. I have been thinking about it. And question from Austin, Ultra Force or Wildcats? I like Wildcats more. Question, was Wolverine Australian, probably the X-Men? I've always thought he was. Hopkins, Heat. Which do you like more, Hulu or Netflix? Netflix. I don't like the layout of Hulu on Roku. Pig Pancake, do you have a favorite anime that not a lot of people know? I recommend watching Carnival. You mean Robot Carnival? I've reviewed that. I like Robot Carnival. I did review that. Yeah, I did review Robot Carnival. It's cool. It's not every short is great, but it is cool. I like Robot Carnival. Question. Alright, I think that's it. Right? Okay. I think I got everybody. I hope I did. If I didn't, comment below on the stream. I will answer you. If you're watching this later and you got to this point, I'm not sure if everyone did, comment below in this video or go to the Discord or add me on Twitter. I'd be happy to answer your question later. I think someone asked me what my favorite pony was. I'd say Apple Clumps. I didn't get to that on Twitter this week. Anyway, thank you everybody for being here tonight. Thank you very much for your generosity for the Super Chats. Check out my videos of Promare. I did a review of Queen and Slim, which I shot that a while ago and never got to edit and felt like it was the right time to put that out, as well as my Hulu recommendations, my segments of Redux Riding Hood, right, and Escalation. So check all those videos out if you can. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for being here. I hope you all have a good night. And I feel cool wearing this t-shirt. And yeah, I think that's it. I will see you all next time. And subscribe if maybe you would like to. Are we doing this? And YouTube. If you would like to. I think. Good night? Maybe?